Jory, can you hear me? How are you, mate?
I can hear you. I'm good, man. How are you?
Well, depressed, but not too bad.
Could be better, Jory.
How did you feel about that? What are your feelings post-game, Jory?
I feel like you guys, and to be honest, I feel a little bit worse, to be honest, because I'm starting to get a little bit worried about Ants. I felt he got it really wrong today. Again, I feel like he's kind of, he's a bit blind on our issues. You've touched on many of them. I mean, for me, one of the huge problems is, of course, the lack of defensive structure. We should have lost by more. Really, we got away with such a low score. So, and for me, I feel like first of all, I'm not Ants out or anything like that. I think Ants is amazing for the club. I think he's amazing in general. But I am seeing, like, now you're in the Premier League, and you cannot go at this league with a one formula approach. That didn't even work for Pep or Klopp. So that's not going to work for Ants either. And my worry there is that if we take, not that we're like City, but that's probably the closest comparison, I think, especially with Ants. Ants is neither going to get the time nor the money to get this stuff right, in my opinion. That's what's worrying me. Also, I'm not sure that he's not showing me that he has any answers for what we're facing right now, and you see the players also being more lost and relinquishing their responsibility, which Ants is so keen to give them. So I don't feel like, especially going forward, that they're taking the responsibility that they need to.
What would you like? Sorry to interrupt, mate, but what would you like to have seen and kind of change up today when it was clear that we were facing something that we were struggling to deal with?
So today, unlike the last two games, we actually got the midfield. So I felt Bissouma was definitely a good addition today, and we had the space to play in the midfield. But what we were facing today is like what we always struggle with, no matter what manager we have, which is these heavy low blocks. But unlike the previous managers, we're not this vulnerable. We weren't this vulnerable to counter-attacking as we are now. But today I felt like, just to start off with, I thought it was a big mistake not to start Sonny in the center, because for me it was like, it's obvious we're not going to get a lot of chances. They need to be clinical. Richarlison, even though he's been on a good run now, he's not a clinical player, not at all. Also, our wingers, and Kulu especially, I mean, he scored a goal, so he made up for a little bit, but Kulu is hanging on to the ball way too long. So, and this is what kind of annoys me with young teams in general, is like the decision making is so bad sometimes, and the ability is all there, but you see them make the wrong decision all the time. And I think, Ants got in Kulu's ear and said, Kulu, you're hanging on to the ball for too long, you need to come to a resolution before. And from that, we saw a little bit better performance. Also, he got better because he got played more centrally, especially after Brennan came in. So, for me, I think you should have started Sonny in the center. You could have played Richarlison on the wing.
On the left, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And also you could also have probably gotten little bit more creativity with having some structure that enabled Kulu and Madison to be creators in the middle.
Yeah.
What setup exactly? There's many ways to skin that cat, but I thought in general that was probably the tactical mistake that was made from this get-go. And when you've got a young team like this, when the blueprint doesn't work right away, then very unlikely to find the solution under pressure. We don't have, like you mentioned before, we don't have the Rodris and the De Bruynes and stuff like that. And even Madison, our most creative player, he's not been great since he's come back, and he needs time. Of course, I'm not on his back or anything, but I actually think his passing is a bit sloppy, and even his decision making is not the best at this moment. So for me, also another thing, to be honest, guys, is like with a team like Wolves, we need. That's also a big reason why we need Sonny in the middle. Is that we need actually the shot. Once we're through, we need to try and create that situation when we turn over the ball in our half. And once we're through, we can't let them organize that defense. It's imperative that we take a sprint and we go for a longer shot, for that matter, rather than a shorter one, to get the finish in, because otherwise we won't get the opportunity to finish. So, and these are kind of the things I feel like the guys should be drilled on and briefed on before the game. And what I saw is they weren't thinking in that manner even. So I felt like we were just doing the same thing. We were playing Wolves like we would play Burnley. And Burnley would give us a lot of goals, but Wolves is definitely not that. So it worries me a little bit. I think Anne should have known better and set up in a different way today. So yeah.
So Jory, do you put the sole blame on today's defeat on Big Ange? It's solely on him today?
Mostly, yeah, because we have this young squad, so I don't, we don't have the Kane, and we don't have, for example, these other teams that are high in the league. We don't have players that can kind of figure it out on their own and adapt in that manner. We have a couple of those players, but you really, at least you need to start off the game with some joy, because otherwise they'll just lose confidence and keep running onto the same wall, really, I think. So for me, I can't really, I can pick out players that were good and bad and all of that, but really I feel like they should have come into the game being much more prepared for what a Wolves game is.